Former governor of Jigawa State, Sule Lamido, has called on President Bola Tinubu to compensate the family of the late Moshood Abiola with 45 billion naira as restitution for the annulled June 12, 1993 presidential election. Lamido made the call on Tuesday during the public presentation of his autobiography, Being True to Myself, in Abuja. He argued that the payment would not only symbolize justice but also offer moral closure to what remains one of Nigeria's most painful democratic reversal. Referring to a former military ruler, General Ibrahim Babangida's recent memo, Lamido stated, in his book, General Babangida reveals that Abiola won the election. When I went to him, he said that Abiola was being owed 45 billion naira, and therefore if he were the president, he would pay the money. So it means Abiola is being double punished, denied his own presidency and also his own money. Lamido's appeal came in the wake of revelations from Babangida's release memo, A Journey in Service, in February, which has reignited national debate about the events of 1993. In the book, Babangida for the first time publicly acknowledged that Abiola won the annulled election, widely considered the first and fairest in Nigeria's history. This compensation method, I'm sure I've had one of the June 12 annulments conversation with you after Babangida came to make that statement publicly in February. This part of compensation of 45 billion naira to Abiola'S family, do you feel it's a necessitation that should, be brought into the limelight by Lamido, or it's just one of those conversations that we normally have?
Well, everybody is entitled to his opinion. I don't know what triggered Lamido into, that thinking on that sympathetic line.
Although he said that Babangida told him that Abiola is being owed 45 billion naira. So for that reason, his family should be compensated, first of all for the loss of the election and then that money. So do you think it's something the president will want to attend?
That's what I'm saying. I don't know what made him to begin to now think along that sympathetic line, as if the Abiola families are poor. And though if the presidency think it worth doing, they can go ahead to do it. After all, the money is there. The money is there to do it. Again, it's his brother. Abiola is the brother of the president. All of them are from the West. And again, the president worked for Abiola. So I think that should be an opportunity to go ahead to do that. They have been lavishing money in other necessary things. If this can bring the desired, peace and assuage the situation, you can go ahead to do it. They can even secretly do it. Nigerians will not know. Do we even know how much we have?
You talked about peace, that the family have been, agitating for compensation in one way or the other, or saying my father since my father was denied his rightful position after the June 12th election, that we should be compensated. Now, in referring to that peace situation.
Okay. Even at that, I'm now seeing that this is it's not even compensation. This is a debt owed to him. So legitimately, they ought to pay that debt. Probably, the man was doing business for Nigeria or with Nigerian government. So they owed him this money then. So it's not even the compensation. So when they want to talk of compensation, probably they should double it, pay him like 90 billion. Or even 125 billion. Probably, because if that money, it should, the interest on that 45 billion from 1993 till now should have also been doubled. And you now talk of paying another compensation for the expenses made during his campaign. So they should pay that money and pay the interest on that money and pay the actual compensation or the cost of his campaign.
Okay, I wanted to ask you, I have like 2 different questions I wanted to ask and see if I can merge them together. But let me ask first, you know, the time when Abiola had that business partnership with the government, I'm sure there were rules and all of that, and then the president at the time had his own bargain on where he has to come into play. And then back now to 2025, do you think the presidency will want to take that upon himself, as the fact that I wasn't here when this decision was being taken with the government and this Abiola individual at the time? Do you think this compensation will want to fall into place? And secondly, I said I was going to match the question. Looking at most of the sectors in the country that has deficits of finance, funds, and all of that, do you still think that the presidency will want to take it upon himself to compensate Abiola'S family over that situation?
If I understand you, analyzing your question, you asked, because he was not part of the government then, what is the moral
ground for him to want to do that?
Okay, and coupled with the dwindling economy where other sectors need funds, why should such amount be removed, right? Okay. First and foremost, government is a continuum. It is, if a president dies in the office now, that government will not, it doesn't have, it will not affect the government, because he's not running his personal agenda. He's running the agenda of the, he's leading by the Constitution and the manifesto of his political party. So, for the fact that he was not part of the government then, will not stop every legitimate activity from holding. Yes. If Nigeria borrowed money in 1970 something from IMF or World Bank, and it is due for payment in his time, he will pay it. No, he will not say, because I was not there, I don't know what they borrowed it for. No. So that's how government runs.
Okay.
Yeah, that's on that. So there are grounds for him to pay. On the issue of this, why would they be looking for money? We heard that the subsidy remover is placing over 1.something trillion. Is saving over 1.something trillion to us. I use the money from there now.
If Abiola wasn't allowed to, you know, take the position of the election that he won, the June 12th election that he won, what is that? I still want to get that tendency of him getting a pay now that he is late, when at the time he was alive, his rightful position wasn't given to him. We know that thing of demise, when everybody wants to, you know, be different from the time you were alive and when you're late. So at the time he was alive, he was not allowed to take his rightful position. What is still that tendency he will get his rightful due compensation now that he is no more?
It was 2 different systems of government. That was military rule that is characterized by anarchy and despotic system. Now we have democracy.
Do we practice democracy?
We are rule of law.
Do we actually practice democracy at the time now?
You're asking me?
I'm asking you. Do we practice it?
They say we are in democracy.
Okay.
Because it's a civilian that is ruling.
Okay.
So now that they say we are in democracy, it's not a military rule. It's two different things. So they should go ahead to do the normal thing based on the rule of law.
Okay. Oh, well, you were actually trying to make statements on the part of I made mention of most of the sectors that are yet to receive most of their necessary funding, and then the dwindling situation, the economy situation. You talked about the subsidy, that fuel subsidy,
the subsidy removal, they said is putting money, they are saving money for us because of the subsidy removal. So we don't have any reason to cry for lack of funds.
Okay. Well, I would have actually made my statement on that. Let's just move
go ahead. It could help Nigerians.
Because of the subsidy removal that you made mention of, most of the sectors are lacking. Looking at the whole economy, the food that you
probably those people have not called the attention of the government.
Which people?
You said some people some sectors.
The health sector, the doctors, the nurses. You know about the brain drain
that's going on. It may be that they have not called the attention of
even in the military, they're already complaining that the weapons, the ammunitions that have been delivered to them are of low standard.
Have they really?
This terrorists actually use more sophisticated weapons. It's not complaining on
the pages of newspaper. They should go to the president and remind him that, oh God, there is money. He said subsidy removal is accruing over 1.something trillion for us. From this money, let's not even not talk about other revenues. Let's use from here and ameliorate our suffering on social and social sectors. They should go and meet him and tell him that, remind him where to get money from.
So you think they've
because
not met
the president
him
is thinking a whole lot of things.
You think that the president has not been meant for those funds to be released for those needs?
Yeah, come again.
Are you saying that the president hasn't been met for? He hasn't been asked. He has not been asked for those funds to be released for those deficits.
You didn't hear me well. I said they
should go and meet him and
tell him where if he's talking of no fund, where he should get the money from. Mention the money from subsidy removal.
Do you know that World Bank just loaned us about $10 trillion? About, if I'm not mistaken, I do not want to say there are certain amounts I'm not sure of, but recently the World Bank has loaned Nigeria a particular huge amount of money for most of this sector: security, health sector, education, and whatnot. So if we have that subsidy, the subsidy fund that's one corner, why wasn't it used? Why did we have to depend on the World Bank to actually get a particular loan?
Oliver Twist said, I want some more. This money, what they do, so the more you have, the more you want to have. So they have a lot of things they are doing with money. So that's why they need to go and borrow. They are not borrowing for you. They are not borrowing for you and I. They are borrowing for themselves. They are borrowing.
They're like to get the country in a better place, or what's the reason for because they stated that the reason for that loan was to, fix.
Did you not see one of the ministers was having a convoy of Rolls Royce? I saw it on video. That's where the money they are borrowing is going. So at least those who are leading us, who are ruling us, should live well.
So that comes down to the question I asked, that do you think that if these individuals from these sectors that you said they've not met, what if they've not met? Because the presidency, he's not the only one that can handle the whole country's problem, or the whole dwindling situation in the country, because there could be a whole lot in his head, like you stated. What if these individuals have met for those needs and still waiting for funding?
That's why I say, if they are still waiting for, they should remind him a particular place where the money should come from.
Well, this is your compensation from Lamido, Tinubu, to compensate Abiola'S family of 45 billion naira. I really
it's a small amount.
I'm not saying it's big, but you know that I just want you to understand this, that most of these parts that Nigerians are calling out for. Let's just not talk about food shortages and other parts. Let's talk about the insecurity here. Troops being deployed
shortage,
and
they don't even. It's you and I that know
that there is food shortage. Okay, because they are asking not affected. But let's look at the parts where it's really holding the country nationwide so badly. Because I remember that Russia and Nigeria have actually collaborated in a way to fight the whole insurgents, or probably bring it to the barest minimum. So let's say that why has much attention, funding not be released for most of these parts? When we had the Kogi State conversation that I asked of the duties of most of those people that you said they're actually doing their work and all of that, why has the funding not been released for most of those positions to be to
probably
reduce the
because
insurgents?
the ones they release end up in private pockets. Is it Mile Kyari or whatever, who is now residing in London? The funds for NNPCL was found in him. So probably, maybe because of those things, the government will now say, okay, there's no need pushing these funds to these people. Hence, instead of pushing it to the sectors, it is ending in private individuals' pockets. So it may be because of those reasons, and probably because the judiciary is slow in okay, it may not be slow. They are taking their time in prosecuting EFCC and all the rest, in prosecuting these people. So there's no need of having more people to prosecute. Hence, the ones they are prosecuting, at the end, they will be set free. So maybe government or the presidency may have noticed some of these things and say, let me keep the money.
And not release the funds,
yes,
so that it should not be misappropriated.
Exactly.
And while the sectors are still there trying to...
Yeah, suffering.
Oh.
And you know that Nigerians will make noise for a while, and they will, get accustomed to any very bad situation.